Did you know there are extremely subtle signs that could indicate if a woman has had many partners, even though almost no one dares to mention them? Today, I'm going to show you 12 hidden signs that could make you notice things you never imagined. And no, this isn't simply about prejudice, but about better understanding certain behaviors, emotions, and relationship dynamics. Stay until the end, because sign number 12 is the most unexpected of all. It might really surprise you. We're going to analyze each one step by step, explaining how to identify them and what they might really mean. We'll also talk about some uncomfortable truths related to trust, sexuality, and the deepest emotions that many people hide. Welcome to Female Sexuality and Psychology, a space where we talk unfiltered about topics that others prefer to avoid. If you're interested in discovering what's hidden behind appearances and better understanding human behavior and relationships, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join me until the end, because what you'll hear today could change your perspective on relationships forever. Let's start with the first sign. Sign number 1. Constant changes in image or style. Have you noticed that some people are constantly changing their appearance? At first glance, it might seem like just a matter of fashion or personal taste, but often these changes represent a need to start over or leave certain emotional stages behind. When a woman has been through multiple relationships, changing her look can become an unconscious way of reinventing herself, as if she were trying to separate each stage of her emotional life. With each new hairstyle or style, she seeks to detach herself from memories, emotions, or experiences she'd rather not confront. And if this already seems interesting, wait until you hear the next sign, because it reveals a much deeper emotional need. Sign 2. A constant need for validation or approval. Although she may appear confident on the outside, in many cases, there's an internal struggle with deep insecurities. This need for attention, acceptance, or recognition often stems from past experiences where she felt judged, rejected, or emotionally exploited. It's a sign that their self-esteem may be overly reliant on external validation, especially after numerous but emotionally empty relationships where there was never a genuine connection. And now comes something that many people overlook, but which is key to understanding these behavioral patterns. Sign 3. Frequent jokes about their dating history. Have you ever seen someone constantly joke about their past relationships or flings, even laughing at themselves? That's not always a coincidence. Often, humor functions as a defense mechanism. Some people use teasing to hide pain, shame, or wounds related to their romantic past. It doesn't necessarily signify pride. Sometimes these jokes are a way to avoid seriously discussing experiences that still affect them emotionally. Behind the smile or the funny comment, there may be much more than meets the eye. And that leads us directly to the next sign. Sign 4. Avoiding deep conversations about relationships. When someone quickly changes the subject when talking about commitment, intense emotions, or serious relationships, there's usually something more behind it. Often there is fear, disappointment, or emotional wounds that the person doesn't want to relive. This avoidance functions as a way to protect themselves, although at the same time, it makes it difficult to build sincere, stable, and lasting relationships. And this connects precisely to the next frequently recurring sign. Sign 5. Changing partners quickly. When relationships last very little time, or there is a constant pattern of rapidly moving from one person to another, it's not always a coincidence. It often reflects an internal search for something that hasn't yet been found, whether it's emotional stability, genuine love, or even personal identity. This dynamic ends up generating emotional exhaustion and fuels a repetitive cycle where the same experiences are lived over and over again without resolving the real underlying problem. But pay attention, because the next sign delves even deeper into this behavior. Sign 6. Extreme independence or aversion to commitment. Here we see one of the most common defense mechanisms. Some people display an excessively independent, distant, or even cold attitude when it comes to romantic relationships. In reality, they often act this way to avoid suffering. They reject commitments or withdraw just when the relationship starts to become more serious or emotionally intense. This can be related to a fear of abandonment, past disappointments, or emotional wounds that haven't yet healed. Do you want to understand the true root of many of these signs? Then keep listening because the next clues are even more revealing. Sign 7. Small marks or visible signs. It may seem like an insignificant detail, but observing certain scars, marks, or small physical signs can tell part of a personal story that is rarely expressed in words. Some of these marks may be related to medical or emotional experiences or difficult times in the past. Learning to notice these details with empathy, rather than judgment, can help you better understand people and their experiences. Sign 8. Sudden emotional changes. Sudden mood swings or intense emotional reactions can surprise those who don't really know the person's history. Often, these ups and downs reflect unresolved inner wounds or emotional conflicts accumulated over years. This emotional instability can complicate relationships and reveal a much deeper inner struggle than is apparent on the outside. Sign 9. A wide but superficial social circle. Having many acquaintances, fleeting friendships, or a huge social circle doesn't always mean deep connections. In some cases, this can be related to a lifestyle that avoids creating authentic or lasting emotional bonds. These kinds of superficial relationships can become an indirect indicator of past emotional experiences and difficulty establishing truly intimate connections. Sign 10. Frequent stories about casual encounters. When someone constantly talks about fleeting flings or one-night stands, they are often revealing a significant part of their emotional and romantic history. The way they tell these stories can reveal patterns of behavior, ways of relating to others, and how they understand affection and intimacy. Sign 11. A preference for parties or nightlife. It's rarely a coincidence that certain environments like clubs, bars, or parties occupy a significant place in their routine. These spaces typically facilitate quick encounters, brief connections, and fleeting relationships, which may be related to emotional experiences and ways of relating developed over time. Sign 12. An open mind and absence of rigid prejudices. And we come to the most unexpected sign. Many people with varied romantic experiences tend to develop a more open view of relationships, sexuality, and different ways of living. They tend to have fewer prejudices and greater acceptance of different lifestyles. This can be a positive trait when there is maturity, respect, and self-awareness, although sometimes others completely misinterpret it. Now you know these 12 hidden signs and what they might really reflect. The idea is not to judge or label anyone, but to better understand human behavior and emotions that often remain hidden. Each person has a different story, and everyone deserves respect. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep discovering authentic, insightful, and thought-provoking content that can help you grow and better understand relationships. Let me know in the comments which of these signs surprised you the most, or if you know of any others that should be featured in a future video. And don't go yet, because right now you'll see a list of videos with more signs of infidelity, secrets of attraction, and truths about female psychology that might finally open your eyes. Click now, and I'll see you in the next video.